Hey, Ariana here from Scale and Simplify, and this video is going to give you an introduction to memberships or course areas. So I'm here under memberships, if you click on the left-hand side, and then I'm just in this very first tab that it brings you to under content and memberships. So quick note, I know they call them memberships in Kartra, but really it's a course area. Typically, when people hear memberships, they think kind of like a subscription-based engagement community style of content. And this isn't really, it's more of a course. So I think of it more as a course. You'll hear me use both terms throughout. Okay, so this is going to be a multi-part tutorial. Rather, it's going to be multiple tutorials on the membership area because there's a lot of different things in here. In this video, I'm going to walk through just the basic settings on the back end and the options that you have and to consider as you're setting up not just the content, but how people are engaging with the membership, what they have access to, and adding in these graphics and all of that. So the first thing you're going to do is click on the blue button in the bottom right hand corner and you're going to give it a name. Now I'm going to close this, but right after you click create, you're going to be taken to some settings. I'm just going to instead go in and edit settings on an existing membership I have because it's more difficult to demonstrate when there's no lessons in there. And I'll explain that in a second. Okay, so you can see here all of the different setting categories across the top, and I'm just going to walk through each of those. First is membership details. This is where you're going to put the name of your membership here. Here you're going to select the sales page of it. Now, this is important to select a page here that describes whatever this course is and gives them the opportunity to sign up because later on, and like I said, I'll talk about this in different videos, if you create a portal, which is like a place to house multiple courses, if people come across your course listed in there and they have not purchased it yet, there's going to be a button that takes them that says learn more, and it's going to take them to this page. And so you just want to make sure that you're selecting a sales page associated with that course. Okay, and then here you're going to click change and then upload an image. There's going to be the default one in there by default, but you'll click on this, click change, and upload an image. Now you can see that this is a square image. What I do is in Canva, I will create an image. What is happening? Let me just open this up in a new tab to show you. So it always displays as a rectangle, but the image it forces you to select as far as the dimensions is square. So I create this in Canva as a square, and then I'll put the text as like centered and smaller in the middle so that when it's showing up like this, it looks normal. Okay, the other thing I'll say about that, actually, let me use the same membership. Let me show you the login page because that's another place where that graphic is going to appear. Okay, so again, it's a rectangle. And the name of it, you can't turn this part off. So this is just Kartra putting in this gray box with the name of your product. And so just keep that in mind as well so that this isn't like obstructing your text. So again, I find that if I just do a square graphic in Canva and like really center the text, and you can obviously play around with it and test different ones. Okay, I'm going to hit save. So those are some of the core settings. Here is where you're selecting whether or not you want it to be password protected. No would just be if you are granting free access to like a bite-sized course or something. Otherwise, you're going to have it password protected. Okay, save and next. This part, I won't go into this in this video. We'll do a whole deep dive into adding in your content, your videos, your any documents and text. You would click Launch Builder and then you'll build that out, but I'm gonna skip over this part. Next, it's going to ask you whether or not you want comments enabled. And so comments are just when you enable it, there's like a comments box underneath at the end of the lesson. And you can allow people to comment in there. Obviously, make sure that if you are going to enable that, that you are monitoring it regularly and replying back to comments and questions. So what will happen here is what you're seeing here are my modules and lessons. And so once you create those under contents, that's where it's pulling from. Then here in comments, you'll be able to select for each of your lessons that you've created whether or not you want commenting turned on. So just a quick note about the flow of setting all of this up. What I normally do is like I'll set up the basic settings, I'll skip over contents, I'll go through some of these things, but later on at the end, when you have all of your content in there, I come back into these settings again and I'll look at the comments, the access levels, and the progress. These three are settings that are tied to specific lessons, and so you want to come back and confirm that they're accurate once you have everything set up. Because initially it'll be blank, right? Because you're just gonna, I go through it, I don't set up the lessons, I just go through to get all of the settings in there, then I create the content, and then I come back to these three. Okay, so I'm gonna turn this, keep these off. And then we've got access levels. Again, you can see all my modules and lesson names here. This is another area that I will do a more in-depth video on, but essentially you're able to select whether or not people get instant access or if you do drip access, unlocking posts after a certain number of days or on a specific date. And you can have multiple levels. So if you have like a regular and then a VIP where they have additional content that level 1 doesn't get access to, this is where you would set that up, and we'll walk through that in another video. Okay, progress. This is giving you the capability to select whether or not you would like a progress bar displaying, kind of like in this preview. So you can have no, and that's it. Or if you select yes, you have two options. So first, a note on what Kartra means by progress. It really is just looking at whether or not somebody has opened a specific lesson. So there's nothing to like check that they have fully watched your video or engaged with the content within this context. And so completed to Kartra is just they have opened it. So just something to keep in mind, but it will sort of show them, you know, how many they've opened or gone through in this little progress bar. So if you do want the bar there, you can put to force linear progression or do not force linear progression. What that means is if you click force linear progression, it will have all of these locked until they open up the preceding lesson. So when they first come in, they're going to click on part 1. They won't be able to click on part 2 first. It will be locked. All of these will show a little locked icon, and until they open up the lesson that's right before it, the following one won't be opened. So again, it's not going to force them to like watch a video or take a test or anything, but it does put a little bit of a barrier and makes sure that people at least open it to kind of make sure that they're engaging with all of the content and not completely jumping around. And then down here for both of these linear and non-linear progression, you can select whether or not you want a completion badge to be displayed. And so this just shows up for people at the end when they've gone through the content. and you can select like what you want it to say. It gives you a little preview. So if you change the text up here, it'll show you a preview, and you can select the design of it. And here it kind of shows you what that will look like. So I'm going to turn this one off, and I'm going to hit save and next. Help desk. This is, we'll talk about, there's going to be a separate video about help desk specifically, but if you do have a help desk created in Kartra, you would come in here, select the help desk if you want it to be displayed inside of your membership. Okay. And welcome. So sending a welcome message. Here you want to select to send a welcome message. I can't really think of an instance where you wouldn't, because people will need their login credentials. So yes to the welcome message, and then underneath you will create that. So this is, you know, an email builder just like anywhere else inside of Kartra. The difference being is that you have these fields and they show up here in blue as well. So these are, you can't like copy this and paste it in a broadcast email and have it send somebody, or a sequence email and have it send them the password. It has to be coming from within the membership. So your welcome emails from a course or membership will always be in here. Obviously you can have then additional emails that are coming through a sequence, but the ones where you're giving them login access are coming from within here, because that's where we have these fields. So you're gonna, you know, put in all of your content. There will be a, when you initially come in here, a default email, and then you can of course tweak it, just being sure to keep these 3 bullet points in there. All right, when you're done, we're gonna hit save, next. Here we've got some automation options. You can, you know, just like anywhere else, you can assign tags, lists, or subscribe to sequences. I don't have this on because what happens when somebody purchases this is the product is tagging them and giving them access to this, and so I don't need to tag them when they get access granted to the membership. If there are instances where you're maybe wanting to tag them with an additional tag, you can do that here. Okay, and then you can have some additional automations. Tied to this. I'm trying to think of some instances where. So if you, this is a good one. So if you know, you have a membership where it's not lifetime access to the course, for example, then here you can select that something happens when you revoke access to that membership. So let's say that like somebody cancels their subscription, or they're on a payment plan and they're not making their payments, and you want to revoke access to the product, then you can specify here that, you know, they're assigned a tag, maybe that they have canceled, they're unsubscribed from a sequence potentially, maybe there's another course that they should automatically also have access revoked to, and so on. So you can just consider if there's anything in there that you would need. And that is it for the basic settings. Like I said, we'll dig into how to drip feed content, and then also just how to set up the actual membership area and the content in separate videos.